Hey, welcome everyone. I am excited to be here. Uh, I've really enjoyed the us getting together, creating and talking about leaders living their values. And I had this super cool person want to add to my CPOP, the customer point of possibilities actually for me is leaders living their values. And he said something, and most of the time I tell people that you just say thank you when somebody wants to add to your CPOP. And this one, it was really hard for me to say no. So I'm going to say leaders living their values and making a difference. So anyhow, welcome. We are streaming live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm excited to have you guys here. The what I'll say is this is a safe environment, although we are doing video through StreamYard to other platforms. We are live. Audio is coming from Clubhouse. The thing that's exciting is the fact that when you get a chance to speak, you should speak your piece. And the only thing I'd say, I don't think there are any rules other than it really is a safe environment. Probably the only rules is love not hate is probably kind of the only rule because there's no real wrong. But in life in that dichotomy, I feel that credibility is about love. It's about showing up as you and being that beautiful entity that you bring magic to yourself and you bring magic to those around you. And that magic is called love. Oh, oh. You guys are so sweet. All right. So are we, let's just say, we'll check in with hellos. Jorge, you were first to join me. So, hey, buddy, how are you?
Oh, very good. Thank you for the invitation and to share these ideas and getting all together with this group of people. I love this figure that Laura Covey is showing us. Is the last week was a fantastic conversation, and I can tell you that I follow up after the conversation within the week, having some conversations to explore what everybody of us had in mind. And that is an amazing kind of things that you met new people, you enjoy learning about this ability nation concept and say we are ready really to explore with the audience what could be done in our future. That is the most amazing kind of things and say nothing happens if you don't start talking about that.
Well, that is so cool. And by the way, I'm so honored that there are more people who are joining us on video. It just makes it that much more fun. And Dr. Laura, I need like this little heart you're wearing. For those who are just on audio, Dr. Laura has all these great cards that she shares, and one that she has at the moment is the heart. So why are you wearing the heart on your chest, Dr. Laura? What's going on today?
Because this room is heart centered, and what I know for sure is within the 3 weeks that this club and this room has begun, not only do we have 5 times as many people in the room, we have 5 times as many people on video, and 5 times the reach of that which we're putting out to the world. Facebook, YouTube, wherever it is that is. And I know there's some folks right now in the audience who need to come on stage to have their voice heard. I'm just saying, Tony. There's certain people who I know in my heart, that's the heart, who are credible and are seen in other platforms that they just keep coming up to stage. Don't be shy. Don't be stingy, because that's hoarding. I see you.
Are you telling everyone to share their love? Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Love, love, love. Did you love? See, yeah. We got some kitty cats waiting for you, and we love you. We know you. I see you.
Mm.
That's all. That's all.
It's
The guy wants all the love for himself and is facing that.
Adrian, you got to take a picture of this and send this off. This is awesome. That's great. Brigadier, are you with us today? I see a picture, but I'm not sure if it's static or not. All right, let me know when you ping me when you free up, and then Adrian, I would love it if you said hello, and then also let folks know how best to share, for those that are newer, how best to share this event right now with others so that we have more people join us.
I love that. Hello, everyone. I'm excited about this conversation today.
Sound, Adrian, should come from, yeah, I'm not hearing you. Sound needs to come from Clubhouse. And
all right, everyone. Hello. I'm still learning. So this is absolutely fun. It is so lovely to see the beautiful Dr. Laura in person. Her face does light up the world. So I just want to say this is fantastic. So what you could do is you could share on Twitter. You could go on to LinkedIn. There's so many different ways. So share the room. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about this conversation, especially, well, all DEI, but especially the E&I, which really a lot of people don't discuss as much. So that is it. Join us in the room right
now. Thank you, Adrian. I love that. And Dean, I'm going to save you for last. And Dr. Brent Whitlock, thank you for joining us, sir. Nice to see you.
It's a pleasure. Nice to see you as well. Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. And my video frozen. I'm not sure if it is on video.
Oh, there you go.
But
we could hear you on Clubhouse. Now yes. I could see you too. Awesome.
Yes. So thank you very much. I love the topic of leadership. It has a particular impact in the field of law, many different sorts of leadership and ways in which leaders as well as ways in which lawyers enjoy the leadership of others. And so I got a perspective as well as a perspective of an engineer and an entrepreneur, which all can then be combined together. So I love speaking about leadership, learning about leadership with others, and I love having the opportunity to network with those and to be able to share knowledge beds with one another in forums such as Credibility Nation.
Oh, thank you, buddy. By the way, I'm gonna. You inspired me, so you gave me an aha moment that I'm gonna share after Dean gets to say hello, and then anyone else, if you want to come up on stage, just flash your mic a couple times, or let us know in chat, and one of the moderators will bring you up to the stage. And Dean Miles, thank you so much for coming, man. Nice to see you.
Yeah. Good morning. I think I figured some of this out. I went and saw Garth Brooks last night in Salt Lake City. And if that's not integrity and values on display, his ability to connect with 60,000 strangers in a stadium is just unbelievable to watch.
Wow.
So the topic of leadership, the combination of values and doing that in a place of credibility. And I'm now addicted to this group. The first time I came on was Mitchell and Dr. Laura. And, her heart is better. A heart on her shoulder is better than a chip on her shoulder is what I put in the chat. You weren't able to see that. But I love adventure. I love advocacy. And I love awe. AWE. So surprise with a hint of fear. I'm addicted to it. And so this topic, it brings me to that edge of surprise and fear. And I absolutely love it. And so I love people that also love that. You guys inspire me. So I'm glad to be here.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. And I just, I'm going to share what I'm doing because I've now had a couple people reach out and say they've not seen this happen before. So let me show you what we're doing. This is my iPad. So for those that are physically seeing it, if you're on a Clubhouse, you'll just have to imagine I'm holding in my hand next to the camera, my iPad. And what we're doing for those that want to do it themselves. Oh, thanks, Dean, for showing yours as well. The sound for Clubhouse is coming through the iPad. And so what I need to, or hey, it's like everyone's holding up there, like the, in the concerts in the past, like the Garth Brooks concert, you hold up the flame, and so the sound is coming through the one vehicle. I've turned off. What I did learn, Dean, is Jorge, thank you for dancing. I turned off the volume from my computer, so the volume is only coming from the iPad, and that was the trick. And so this is a great way to take an audio only platform and feel the energy of audio, which is Clubhouse, and combine it with the video that you see on other platforms. And so I want to say something interesting. And once again, feel free to come on stage, bring friends. Let's talk about this. But forget the but. And I want to say something because I do I have the YouTube channel is called Credibility Nation, and I have a series called Dear Credibility Expert. So every week I answer as many questions. Typically, it turns out to be one question I answer once a week, and it's a 10-minute video. And somebody sent me a question that I spent a little bit time thinking about, and I'm going to ask the question here because it's potentially an extremely topsy-turvy type of question. And so I want to share the question here, and I'm going to share the question the way it was originally asked, but then I'll interpret it. The way it was originally asked was through DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it said, if a company has a DEI policy of being inclusive, can an executive be credible if they don't live that particular aspect, those words, in their home life? Right. And, it's so interesting. So I'm not sure it was just truthfully, I don't think it was just a DEI focused question. I think the way I interpreted it, so I'd be curious how other people think, is the difference between internal and external integrity. If externally you're saying one thing, but internally you believe and do something else, I feel that inconsistency. Now, Laura, you're shaking your head. Is that to me or to somebody else?
I agree with you that this is Dr. Laura. I agree with you. There's a dissonance. If you're going to maintain integrity in one way and not in another, it's like a fair weathered friend. It's two-faced, I suppose, and it's fake, meaning that you're holding up a mask. That it's almost like impression management. You're trying to manage the impression that others have of you in one circumstance where you maybe what's your real self, what's your true self, and that it's a cover, it's a fake. That just doesn't sit well with me. I just get nauseous thinking about it. That how well do I actually know someone? And then, give me some Brene Brown, right? If I trust someone who shows up in one way, and I start to believe that, and then I share my story with them, that is, some might say that I should, please don't shit on me, I should have known better. What did my gut say? It's almost to the extent, and I'll finish with this, is that when I trust someone, when I hire a coach and they tell me what they offer and they provide something different and I get duped, do I then blame myself for not knowing? And is it with my best intention and my honest hopefulness that others are presenting their best self where I should have known better? Blaming the victim, almost blaming myself, and then beating myself down as a result. Mm-mm. Oh, that's like, I need to process.
Oh, you just gave me a shiver. Dean, I'd love you to contribute to this particular one, because the harder part is, when you think about the folks in the Marshall Goldsmith 100 Coaches, right? And when there's a corporate mandate for something, whatever it is, it could be DEI, it could be anything else, right? There's a corporate mandate. But then what happens when the executives in their internal lives don't manifest? They don't show up the same way. You feel the incongruity. How do we deal with that? Give me some thoughts.
Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind with the question, and I agree with Dr. Laura. I mean, there's it's hard to wing an answer on this one, right? I mean, it really requires some depth there. But my initial thought was, so go with me on these analogies or metaphors. If I find myself the president of the local surfing club, but I don't like surfing at all, that's not what we're talking about, right? Like, I don't surf in my personal time, but I represent surfing. I think that's fine. But I think if you were a judge and professionally you were all about justice and integrity and honesty, but you were known in your community as a liar and a cheat, I think that bleeds into your ability to be a judge, right? I mean, there's something about that transfers from the professional to the personal. Unlike the surfing doesn't really matter. I think you can represent surfing without being a surfer. I don't think you could represent justice and integrity without having justice and integrity.
I don't agree. I think dishonesty is dishonesty. No matter what. If you're not showing up fully and representing, like, if you're not showing up and actually showing up, then it's that people instantly recognize when somebody's not genuine. They see right through that bullshit, and it is like disingenuous behavior is it's like it's the bane of modern existence. I don't. Unless you're representing a message or an image or something, you should actually believe the shit that you're saying. That's if you don't, then you wind up being like every other politician out there that just finger up in the air and see which way the wind blows, and that's the way I'm going today. Those guys are spineless and they're weak, and they're just useless.
Hey, Frank, I'm not sure you and Dean would disagree, and it might have been a terminology thing, because I heard you both say the same thing, except you said it much stronger, in a forceful way, Frank.
Yeah, I would agree with Mr. Frank. I think I agree with you. Let me rephrase that. I agree with you. In my made-up analogy of the guy who represents surfing, I know a lot of professionals that represent sports or activities that they don't necessarily participate in. I know people that represent marathon runners that aren't marathon runners. They don't project themselves as also a marathon runner. Right, they just don't do it, but it's not necessary to do what you're representing. But I think when it comes to credibility, when it comes to integrity, there is no on-off. I think it just either you have it or you don't. And so then with DEI, when you're representing that, I don't think that's something you can do professionally and not do personally. I think that's one of those that has to run constantly.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, like Bill France, he's the CEO of NASCAR and the head of NASCAR, but he's never raced a car in his life.
There you go.
He lives and eats, breathes, sleeps. That's important.
Dean, when I answer the Dear Credibility expert answers, I just sort of let it flow, whatever comes out. And what you just said is something that I wish flew out of my mouth, because that was perfect. But I don't think I was as articulate as you just said it. And I think I know your answer is absolutely right. You just have to, there are some times in life where there are things you have to show up with. And it's really interesting. I think maybe what I'll end up doing is a little bit more surveying on internal versus external integrity, right? Because first of all, we always think about just integrity. We just think there's one thing, but there really is two. And Frank, I wish I could say many people can feel when others are disingenuous, but some people can't. Some people just hear the words as is and they just think it's true. Brent, man, as a lawyer and the types of stuff you do, how would you like to contribute to this?
So one of the things that had caught my ear as regarding to justice and judges in particular, as a lawyer, we go through an incredibly deep interview process, you could say, from the board or from the bar in our state regarding our character and fitness in order to practice law. And so that character and fitness part of that is character. That means they're looking to see, are we people that are upstanding? Are we moral? Are we, good citizens, so forth? Are we not people who are scofflaws? Are we not people who are cheats or whatever? And they go back beyond statutes of limitations, beyond even when there are cases that were wiped from their record. We have to report tickets we had 20, 30, 40 years ago. We have to report every single place we've ever lived since age 18. We have to report an incredible amount. So there is a very, very sincere effort from the bar to ensure that all lawyers are actually good people and have good character. So so there would not be a dissonance between a lawyer also being, a crook. That would be really bad for the profession. So the profession goes to great lengths to prevent that from happening. And if one lawyer does turn out to be a crook, they can be disbarred. And lying in committing perjury in court can lead to disbarment. That has happened to, for example, President Clinton. So it's a serious matter, and I think you have to be, in order to be really credible, not only as a lawyer or as a judge, but as any professional, your home life, your personal life, and the life that you're putting out as your professional life or your public life should be in consonance. They should not be dissonant. There should be basically, if you are behaving differently in private than you are in public, that will lend itself to destroying your credibility to those that find out about it.
That was elegant. Although you had a lot of 3 and 4 syllable words, I'm still sort of grokking them. Yeah, I love that. What is that? I'm curious. How does that? I'm going to jump immediately to Jorge. How does that resonate with you?
Well, that's quite interesting. Having that kind of points and how to keep that congruence with the lawyers is one of the things that I has always been into a surprise way. When I just came to the United States and to live, I got related to a lot of lawyers in a different way than I was used when I was living in Mexico. In Mexico, the lawyer is something that is, you use it when you are in a deep problem. Here in the US, you talk with the lawyers to how to create things, how to develop new ideas, how to be protected in the way that you are doing the things. And in some sense, is much more into the foresight than in the backside. In the foresight, you are looking how to develop that relation and that congruence. If you see a lawyer that is very strong, very clear, that he has been helping people succeed, that's a completely different thing. And that connects a lot with the Dean Miles' message about coaching in some way. Is you are in your life, you can be worried how to protect the life in the things that bad things consume all your time, try to recover it, or you can move into the foresight and say, I want to create new things. And that's the life that I love. When you're talking about leaders, you're talking about how to see things in the future, try how to make it that happens, and how to make it that happens in the most easy and successful way. And that resonated very well. I really enjoyed having this kind of conversation, because usually we talk about things without analyze to whom we talk it and with what focus we talk about that.
Thank you.
Makes you go,
Thanks, Laura. I always forget. Do you? I go back and forth between calling you Laura and Dr. Laura. Do you have a strong preference?
I'm Laura. If someone wants to give me creds, that's fine. I earned it. I worked hard for it. That's fine.
Oh, you so deserve it. I mean, I end up doing both, and I just didn't know if you had a preference.
If someone's going to pull rank on me, you can call me Dr. Cobb. If you talk to me like I'm a person and you try to put me down, then you call me Dr. If you try to put me down as a person and hold me in contempt and criticize my character, call me Dr. Cobb. Thank you very much. I've earned it. If you talk to me as I'm a person, as I do you, I'm Laura. If you want to give me props, go ahead and call me Dr. Laura. Not that Dr. Laura, my Dr. Laura, me. It's up to you. I respect each. It's the intent, I suppose. And the gist that I get, are you credible? Do you hold me in the highest regards as I do you?
Well, when I share my love, you're always Laura. And so I love you, Laura, and you're awesome. Agent,
an amazing person who just came on stage in addition to some of the other folks that we have already.
Awesome.
So I want to make sure that we get to everybody here on the stage who haven't had the opportunity.
Oh, please, since you got the floor, bring on. It sounds like you're going to bring on Tony.
Oh my word! So I want to make sure that everybody who has wanted to speak, who's on the stage, has had the opportunity to do so. I know that Ms. McClellan, Tony's fairy dust. Not doing her any justice by saying that, because she can speak for herself. That this woman, this fabulous, fierce, fabulous woman, is one of the women with whom I hold the highest regard in terms of integrity and credibility, and who shows up consistently, and not just when I see her on a daily basis. Because I'm going to stop because I'm going to ramble on with the kudos and loving. So that said, I'm relinquishing the mic to whomever would like to speak, into Tony or Tony herself, who can very well speak for herself. This is Dr. Laura.
Thank you so much. And I just want to show so much respect to everybody that's in the room. I've been sitting listening to the conversation and at the same time checking you all out on LinkedIn. And I think it's absolutely fabulous what you're doing. Mitchell, George, Dr. Adrienne, and the rest of you, and Dr. Laura. You'll always be Dr. Laura to me, even though I respect you immensely. But I like the doctor in front. It's just got a nice little ring to it. So I just want to say, loving the conversation, everybody on stage, lots of respect. And when you're ready, I have got something to contribute to the DEI discussion now that I've overcome my shyness. If now's the right time, I don't know, Dr. Laura or Mitchell.
Tony, by the way, thank you. I did see in the chat that you were professing shyness. I'm glad Dr. Laura sort of helped you with that one. I'm honored. And I'd love to hear from you. Please share.
Yes, I was professing shyness. I'm never shy, but I just wanted to get her off my back. But really, just in this DEI piece, because that was a bit of an interesting take, really. But it's one thing, and I'm just going to share it with you because it's kind of something that always bothers me, and it's been bothering me. It kind of comes at peaks sometimes, and that is that the people that are in the DEI space and professing this DEI and all of that, and they talk about safe spaces, psychologically safe. We want brave space. We want people to come in and share and all of this stuff, and they're on Zoom calls and doing that. And then all of a sudden, I just see everybody that's on that call plastered all over social media. This was great. This was wonderful. We had a great talk today. And it just kind of feels like, did you even get your own memo? Did you even understand your own memo? Because you didn't ask anyone's permission for that photo. You said it was a safe space. And now, has everybody even wanting to be out there in that way? And so for me, when I kind of see things like that, and people professing that they're DEI specialists, I question because it feels very performative, and role model is the words that comes to mind. So you've got to be transparent in and out of the workplace, and really believe in your own values. So that's my share at the moment. But great discussion and respect to all of you. Thank you.
By the way, thank you for that. I think you really hit it on the head. It really reinforces what all of us said. It reinforces what Dr. Brent said, what Dean said, what Dr. Laura, what Jorge. It's one thing to say the words, and it's another thing to feel and act and be. And it's crazy because it but you put it, the hit it out of the park, Tony, was when you said something. By the way, did you read the memo, or in this case, did you listen to the words that came out of your mouth? It's like, really? Crazy. Listen, if you want to jump into the room and have a contribution, please make sure your thoughts are known. Yes, and if you want to come on video, also come and join us. It's I'm going to just change the topic to something light for a second, and then we'll go back to.
Adrian wants to say something about that before that.
Oh, please! Oh no! Please, go ahead.
I'll wait if you want to make it light and change. I don't want to. It was so I'm Adrian Barker, Daytona Beach, Florida, and actually, I feel like I'm going to stand up at a meeting. I left my family business, actually a beautiful family business, due to standing up for integrity. So I really know integrity, and I understand. I was, you have choices sometimes, and I refuse to be complicit. And so I left. But with that said, just to give you a little background of who I am, I was on a board, and it was in the board. It was all about DEI, and the woman in the HR position was DEI. During a board meeting, there was a lot being said, and a lot of information that really kind of made me nervous. Things that weren't happening like I would expect them to happen. It took me some time to process. But then after a while, 2 days later, when I started to ask some questions, they came at me so hard, like this. Adrian, you were in the meeting. You should have heard everything. Adrian, why don't you know what's going on? Why are you even asking questions? You were right there. And it hit me that we can talk DEI all we want, but we have to break it down too, what diversity means. But inclusion is something that I think a lot of leaders are missing. It's so easy to say our business is inclusion, and yet, why should it be that my age, maybe at 60, I didn't learn it all. I didn't understand exactly what they were saying at the board meeting. Maybe I missed something, but all of us can miss something. So I really believe that the I part of the inclusion needs to be addressed. And I talk about this with other nonprofits now too that I work with, because when you think about it, maybe I can't see you very well, or even inclusion on this beautiful app, it's really hard to see who is speaking. So I don't really feel included. So I just feel that focus is always on the DE. And then actually the equity part of it is something that we really have to work hard on. And I'm actually creating a program for high school students where I live. And then that is going to be part of the equity, because we're giving it to areas which are low poverty and really are blighted areas. We're teaching who owns the ice house. And so giving them the opportunity is really part of what's called equity, right? Rising them up, giving them opportunities, people that may be in areas that are a little harder to live. I'm Adrian, landing the plane. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Adrian. At some point in time, if you're open for it, we should talk about the integrity thing that happened. And I'm just throwing it out there and just put it in the back of your mind. And that, because family businesses and family integrity and standing up for your integrity is probably one of the hardest things to do. Right. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Let's not throw you under the bus today, but just say at some point in time, that could be a conversation that would make sense. And I would love you to lead that when you're open for it. Fair?
Well,
okay.
Stand for your integrity while in a family business against family. That's hard.
Yeah.
I've had to do that myself. My mom unfortunately, my mom, unfortunately, is a malignant narcissist, and she's got a little corner store, and she's also got early onset. So I spent a couple of years looking out for her and taking care of her, but she's got to manipulate, and she's got to pull strings, and she's got to try to control everything under her purview. And there's a lot of things that she pushed too far, and being a son, looking at that, it was a really difficult position to be put in, because you got those rose-colored glasses on, and nobody wants to think that their mom is a predator, or that you have to get away from. Nobody wants to look at their family that way, let alone their mother. And but you have to, you get pushed, and you have to look at what you've let slide, and what you've let, what you were all right with allowing to happen, and eventually you realize, no, this is not the person I'm not this person. I would never allow anybody to treat me like this. And like look at how I am living right now. Like, you become a frog in the water, but as soon as you realize it, and you can, you learn your value, you can walk away from it. I think it's probably one of the harder things that you might have to face, but it's a real test for actually living your values, and actually knowing your worth, and it's really important to have a really good, strong relationship with yourself, so you know your value.
Can I say something?
Oh, yes, please, Tony.
Can I just say, Pepper, I've just got so much respect for what you just said there. It was just so heartfelt, and I just really want to acknowledge that it was really good. And if it's okay with you, Mitchell, I'd really like to give another example of integrity from a different angle, if that's okay.
You can't see me. I'm shaking my head. Yes.
So basically, just to really, really quickly, in a nutshell, I'm a person of color, and I was recently, when I say recently, 6 months ago, asked to be on a DEI panel. And this thought has been triggered by something that Adrienne said. And when I looked at the DEI panel, they were all people that looked like me. And I just thought, actually, do you even understand what DEI means? Because if you did, then they wouldn't really all look like me.
So by the way, can I say, I'm so glad you I can't bring that up. I'm so glad you did.
No, but I mean, it's the truth. And I thought, well, actually, do you know, and it really, I mean, it's a great company with a great profile, and it would have been so great to just have this association with them. But I just thought, I just can't do it, because if everybody looks like me, that means that everybody I'm going to be working with, they're going to be fighting me, because I'm going to be telling my truth. But I actually had to turn around and say, well, it's not me that you need. And I really had to question, are we kind of, anyway, look, you see where I'm going with this. I had to have a conversation. Do you understand what it is? Because it kind of feels like you're going from one extreme to the other. And by the time you figured it out, you're going to be years behind everybody else, because now you've got to fix that and you've got to put it all right. And now, are you all adopting the same behaviours that we're trying to get away from? Anyway, I just thought I'd put that out there. But it was really, in fact, it wasn't even difficult. It was easy for me to turn around and say, I'm sorry, I cannot be a part of that.
Oh, actually, so, Tony, keep your mic open, because I want to ask a question that one of my friends, Steve Chidani, asked on LinkedIn. And the question he asked was, if we assist people of only a specific gender or race or grouping, is that a bias? Is bias a compromise of integrity?
No. I mean, the thing about it is, it's like, See, I don't know. Maybe I'm in my own little world of my own thoughts, but I'm true to what I believe. And if we're thinking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, which Adriana's really highlighted, that includes everybody, not just the people that have fallen behind. Is everybody. The people that have fallen behind, or the groups that have fallen behind. Yes, let's get some representation in there, but don't do that to the detriment of others, because what we're then doing is just embedding even more so the behaviour that we're trying to get away from. And that's my view. And I'm happy to be challenged on it. Everyone's got a different view, and I'm not asking everyone to agree with me, but just in the context of this conversation, that's how I feel with it. So I'm going to yield back the mic, Mitchell. Thank you for the space to share.
Oh, you're welcome. And Brigadier Sushil, I know you've been trying to get on board. And I don't know, maybe there's a tech.
I am here right from the beginning, and in 40 minutes, I was wondering if people even know I'm there.
I saw you. Hi, you are awesome. Well, I tried to get you on.
Every word in the last 40 minutes. It's only that in the beginning, there was a little audio problem where I was hearing everyone very low, but it became okay. Yeah, so tell me, Michelle, how are you?
Well, the thing I was going to ask, thanks for opening up the opportunity to do something light. Yesterday was my wife and my 33-year wedding anniversary.
Wow, congratulations.
So thank you. So I'm smiling. Yeah, I'm smiling. Hey, good to hear from you. Why don't, since you've been here since the beginning, why don't you pick a topic and chime in on it?
What I like to say is that when it comes to credibility, integrity, loyalty, in the army, I thought we were so fixed on this that nothing, no compromise on any of these would be accepted at any cost. And therefore, with all other things that could have been adjusted, you could be trained on it, your weaknesses could be tolerated. These three things were never tolerated. For me, somehow, they got together, clubbed as one thing. And I've really never been able to go into a definition and dissect them and say this is integrity and this is credibility and this is loyalty. And I know that we've had a conversation and you explained some differences, but don't you think that they're all a part of it together? And as a member of an organization, a family, a team, you need to have all three of them, and nothing can be a compromise.
Yes. Well, I think so. I'm not sure everyone does. I'm glad you do. I'm glad there's others on the call that does as well.
I think it's a package, and I don't know. I really don't know. I would love to have views of others. Would you say I'm okay if a person has credibility but is not loyal? Or would you be okay with a person has loyalty and no integrity or no credibility? Of course, credibility comes with all this together. So, yeah, I would like to have some views on this from others.
Yeah, I don't know if that's that seems like an oxymoron. Like it seems like a contradiction in terms. You can't be not loyal. Like you can't be disloyal and have integrity. You can't. If you have integrity, you're going to be loyal. It's just that's part of having integrity. I don't. You can be true to yourself and leave a relationship or a job that wasn't treating you well or wasn't living up to their end of the bargain. It wasn't meeting you where they weren't meeting you where they needed to, but that's still you're still living with integrity there. You're choosing to walk away as opposed to staying in an environment that's not taking you, that's not treating or not that's taking you.
Hello. I'm here. Jorge, great to see you. Hey, for those that are interested, and raise your hand if you want to speak. Also, if you want to be on video, let me know, and we will share. I'll share with you the stream, so you can actually get on StreamYard, and we'll StreamYard outside. So let me start the stream on. Let's see. We are going to Facebook. Let's make sure I'm going to the right Facebook. I'm gonna fix where I'm streaming to, hopefully. And let's see. Let's stream there. And we've got Twitter, we've got YouTube, and we have LinkedIn. Cool. Okay, better.
Full house.
Wow. All right. So, all right. All right. So,
hey, I for those who are listening, I lost the stream. So this is me being silly, and not a good way.
Silly me. Oh well, these things happen.
Am I back?
Dr. Laura. Nice to see you. Let's go live.
Do I have the link? Am I allowed?
Am I back in? So let me see.
Into the video as well.
Same link.
Same. Oh no, let me.
What's that?
Uh-oh.
That link is in the WhatsApp.
What's that?
Are we? Let's see. Are we live now, or am I?
See you, Caroline, Sabrina.
No, this is me talking, so it can't be me live. What did I do? This is not good.
Oh, lovely. Oh, you did. Oh, my bad. I'll be right there.
Are you coming to the room again? I'm lost. Hey, for those who are streaming, let's see. The keys, you can't really change someone who's not credible. I agree. So, how do I get back into the room?
And then, so what happens is,
so I'm sorry for those that are streaming elsewhere. Mitchell made a mistake and is in trouble.
Just checking us out. You get to see Jorge and
all right.
And audio, guys.
We lost you in the room. Yes. How do I get back?
Leaders living their values.
So to mute to your computer, Michael.
Oh, am I?
All right. So
I got to remind you, Mitchell, but I will. Let me do that. So, am I causing reverb? That's not good.
No, that's the wrong one. That's June 11th. Let's leave. Okay. So, how do I get back in, guys? And my apologies. Today, 9 a.m. Join the room in progress. I'm back.
Any person ever, if you're watching an infant who has a diaper on, trying to walk or stand up to think, oh, you fell down, you nasty. No, oh, you did it. You can do this. Come on, give them a table. Give them a table to prop themselves up on. Maybe a finger to help guide them. Why wouldn't we then give adults the same compassion and empathy and say, we are going to fall. We're going to fail. And for me, failure is first attempt in learning. I can promise you one thing. And for any of the NLP practitioners out there, I believe that failure is a beautiful thing because it took a lot of attempts to get to the light bulb. And I don't know about y'all, but back in 1984, when they had a computer, the cell phone that we have now was a heck of a lot powerful than the computer that they had back then. So there's always a possibility for progress. And progress, not perfection. I am not perfect, and I'm working on the journey of progress. I don't want to be perfect. I'm going to fail. I'd rather be a failure than a quitter. Why? Because if I'm a quitter, I just tap out. I'm not interested in improving it whatsoever. If I'm a failure at one point, see, I don't know if any of y'all know who Simone Biles is. Best gymnast ever, just saying. Gymnasts are trained how to fall. We don't teach our people, our children, how to fall. We teach them how to succeed. And thus, because of that, they're only, the positive reinforcement is, you did great, keep doing it. Rather than the negative reinforcement, you didn't do great, and now I'm going to denigrate you in some way. That's the extreme example. So how about if we allow ourselves, and I'm a doctor, I'm a thinking doctor, not a medical doctor, and I'm a licensed professional counselor. I know my limits, and I'm not able to diagnose. I'm not willing to, and I'm not credible enough to do that. And I certainly would never breach the code of moral and ethical ethics that I would ever do so. Now, if I know that, what's my intent? If I know that and I move over towards the other side, when it's out of the scope of practice, then I am not, it's malfeasance. Malfeasance, do no harm. And so my question is that if I know this to be true, how much more am I willing to take when allowing myself to be an honest disappointment? A disappointment is only that I'm being held in expectations that I don't meet according to other people's standards. I'd rather be an honest disappointment than a lying fake, because at least I know my truth. And as a result of my disappointment, their disappointment as a result of my not reaching their standards, it literally impacts, if I allow it to, my standard of living, my beliefs about myself, my self-worth, and then to let that go enough to say, I'm an honest disappointment. I'm not a liar, and I'm definitely not a quitter, because I'm still on that trajectory of movement. And I'll finish with this, allowing them the same compassion, because seeing it for what it is, they might be ignorant. They just don't know what's happening. And am I judging them for not being aware? Woo, that was such a convoluted question. It was huge, esoteric. Woo woo, go for it. Good luck.
Woohoo! I want to say hallelujah. That was amazing. I'm sweating over here. It was so beautiful.
I didn't hear the question, but I heard the response at the end, and it was freaking crazy.
Mitchell, we can't hear you.
Oh no, really? Uh-oh. Let's see. How come you can't hear me?
Because you don't connect that in the Clubhouse.
Oh, that's interesting, because I'm back in Clubhouse, but I'm on. Okay.
You're muted.
Got it.
You are now.
How about now?
Yeah.
I thought I had this down, Dean. I was so proud to show you what a great job I was doing during the week or two that you were gone, and it happened. So I went out of the.
That comes into the point that Laura was saying, is you disappoint us in some way, but it's a failure, and the failure is a learning experience. And that learning experience, that's one of the things that I really love in the Laura comments right now, in the sense that say, okay, I try to do my best. And when you try to do your best, not necessarily you accomplish the expectations of the people that you are trying to serve. And that is one of the most challenging element that any leader need to have. How you generate the quality of service that you like to have. And sometimes you do it, and sometimes is no way to do it. And that is not something that we should think as a failure. It's something that we need to learn how to every time find that. And from the ethics point of view, as she described it, is important, because sometimes you try to be the best and you are not able to do it. You know it, and when you recognize that, is the humility that the leader need to have. Say, I am not able. Stop here and ask for help, because even the leaders need help.
By the way, I was typing in the chat help. What I have to tell you what happened. So unfortunately, for those who were streaming, they could see your pictures, but if you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you had me struggling. Hopefully I didn't curse. I don't know. I should see. And I ended up accidentally bringing up a previous show, and it took me about 2 minutes before I realized, oh, wait a second, there's somebody who's talking who's not here now. I'm like, out back in. I did catch the coolest comment though. So I was just about ready to post it. And this came from Dr. Laura. I'd rather be an honest disappointment than a dishonest fake. That was pretty powerful.
Mitchell, what I've enjoyed the most over the last 20 minutes is what you demonstrated when you asked for help. I think that's so important. I mean, even as I'm reading some of the chat, well, one, this is difficult because there's a chat in the StreamYard, there's a chat on the LinkedIn, there's a chat in the Clubhouse, and trying to meet all these expectations of welcoming and interacting with those. So I don't mean to disrespect me, but I'm not sure how to say his name, but Mr. Sushil.
It's actually Brigadier Social.
Brigadier.
Yeah.
But he was waiting to be seen. That causes anxiety for me. Right. So I've been put in this chat of like, there's someone now challenging the community to see how long is it going to take for someone to see me. But Mitchell, what you demonstrated is when you weren't being seen, you weren't being heard, you couldn't participate, you asked for help. And I like that. I think that's great demonstration so that we don't set ourselves up to be disappointed or to disappoint others. Just where are you and what do you need in this moment? And then it allows the community, allows the individuals to come around and to help. So Brigadier, what I was doing in the other chats is, Mitchell, do you see him? Call him up. He has something to say. Anyway, I'll just pause there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how to be otherwise, Dean. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
same.
it just because I'm created this and started leading doesn't mean I know everything. As a matter of fact, I know how much I don't know. I'm honored to have Dr. Laura and Adrian sort of support this. And when Brent said, "Hey, make me moderator," I'm like, okay. Done. Right, done. That must mean you know something more than I do. Just do whatever magic makes sense. Yeah, I love this. Hey, so I'm feeling comfortable. I think we're given that we're at the top of the hour. Sometimes it's okay to go longer. And Dr. Laura, if you really want to, you, Adrian, whatever, if you want to go longer, great. I think what would be cool is let's just sort of do a wrap up of where we are, and then we could officially stop the stream on the video side. And if you want to keep the Clubhouse thing going, that would be good as well. And so, hey, Frank, since I don't see you physically, but you're here, did you want to do a wrap up for today?
I have to leave, Mitchell, but great conversation today, and keep it going.
Oh, Jorge, why don't you do a quick wrap up then, and then we'll let Frank go.
Okay, that's fantastic. I really enjoyed this thing, and I love the discussion that we have. The Dr. Laura said, and the points that Dean said is if we want really to be leaders, we need to learn that when we are not able to cope with the expectations, we need to find how to say, I need help. And the hardest part sometimes is to recognize that we need help, because we are so worried and so much pushing into doing better ourselves that we forget and we are not in the right moment to be the leader, and release that is quite important. I enjoyed that conversation today very much. Thank you for having, and looking forward for the next one. And sorry to run away, but I have to go.
All right, see you, buddy. Thank you. Hey, Frank, thanks so much for letting Jorge go since he has to run. Why don't you give us a quick summary?
Yeah, I really happy to put this on, and it was getting his perspective and good, just digging into a couple of different sides of the idea of the thought, especially the idea of internal versus external integrity. Thank you for having me this evening.
Oh, you are absolutely welcome. Yeah, it's interesting when you start thinking that way. Very cool. Thanks for joining us today, Frank. Brent Whitlock, Dr. Dr. Brent Whitlock, Esquire. I've known you for what, 2 decades now?
It's been a long time. That's right.
So it's been amazing to see who you are and how you've traveled through life, credibly, we'll say. And how would you like to summarize today? And thanks for joining us, by the way.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. I think I'd like to kind of summarize what I feel are some of the takeaways from this. And so one of those is being consistent within yourself as to who you are. One something we talked about quite a bit was if you're loyal but you don't have integrity, or if you're not loyal but you have integrity, or can you be credible and not have loyalty, all these things. And also what you are, who you are, how you behave in public versus in private, in your home versus at work, and so forth. There's a few points of that. One is that I feel that you need to be who you are 100% of the time. If you try to be someone who you aren't at work, at one point or another, you're not going to be, either you're going to mess up, you're going to become somebody, you become yourself and try to act as somebody else when you're at work. And then there's not going to be like, wait a second, you're not who I thought you were. Or at home, vice versa. And then second of all, when someone notices that you're acting at work and not being who you are, then you're going to lose your credibility. But also, it's just easier. It's just, if you want to be a certain person at work and somebody else at home, it's really hard to keep that up. It's much, much easier and much happier for you to be who you are all the time, 100% of the time.
Mm.
And another aspect of that is well, for example, the way I learn. When I learn something, and I've done a lot of learning, 15 years of college, 4 degrees and so forth, I take the approach of not just learning facts. What I learn becomes a part of who I am. I try not to, simply learn facts. I couldn't necessarily repeat lots of facts, but what I've learned, I use. It becomes literally part of who I am. And to do it otherwise, to me, is just not nearly as effective. And I think it plays out in just being consistent as well in who you are throughout life. Another aspect is regarding the law. There's a suggestion that if you're in court and you're being a witness or you're being a party to a lawsuit or whatever, don't lie, because at one point you're gonna forget what your lie was, and you're gonna contradict yourself, and you lose all credibility, and now you're no longer a credible witness, and everything that you were trying to do in the court is now suspect. It's no longer believed by the jury or the judge. So all around, it's just best to just be who you are 100% of the time, and not try to be fake or anything that is dissonant with who you want to be. That's my summary.
That's a beautiful summary. And I'm going to say here, I can't agree more. I sat on the board of a NASDAQ firm for 9 years. And Brent, I always thought when I was sitting in a boardroom or asked to think about questions, I always imagined that I was sitting in like a Perry Mason type courthouse. I was having some lawyer ask me the question. So I'm sitting on a wood bench and I'm looking out at the courtroom. And the question is, did you have as much information as possible to be able to give the best question for your shareholders? And that was always the perspective. That was always the hat I put on every time. So I appreciate you bringing out that memory.
No, thank you. You're welcome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Hey, Dean, thanks for joining us again today. I appreciate it. It's amazing. Tell me about how does this summarize for you?
Yeah, I'm so glad I could make it. I didn't know how much this was going to mean to me, but I now have panicked on Saturdays when I'm not available during this time period. I'm like, I'm missing a great conversation.
Wow.
So I have that FOMO. So I was glad I was able to make it today. I put in the StreamYard chat. I was just reminded of this. If the individual goal is how little or how close can I be to not being credible and still be credible, versus how much more credible can I become, produces way different results. So when we start looking at the ingredients, what if I have 2 out of the 3, or what if I have the right 1 out of the 3? If the goal is how little, I mean, it's not what was being said. As a coach, I exaggerate to find principles. But how little can I do and still be credible is not the full life that I would want to lead. It's just how much more credible can I be today than I was yesterday, or this next hour than I was the previous hour, is a much more fulfilling life. And I love what Dr. Brent said earlier about credibility goes beyond the statute of limitations. I love that thought, right? We see celebrities, we see politicians get in trouble because we go back in their history feed. We go back in their Twitter feed, and you see these things, and it's whoops, right? Who is the real person? So signature versus autograph is what it makes me think of. Your signature on a contract does 2 things. It's your identity and it's your intent. Your autograph is not binding. Those are 2 legally different things. And oftentimes what we see on the stage, what we see from celebrities, what we see from high-profile LinkedIn people is their autograph. We're not seeing their signature, which is their identity and their intent. And so I like that. It helps me clarify things.
Wow. That was pretty powerful, Dean. Thank you.
Thanks for a good question, Michael.
I want to add something though, if you don't mind. It's how you started. I'd like to say that I'm honored by your thought process that you want to be here. And what I'd like to say is, when I hear people say the FOMO, the fear of missing out, I'm going to say, don't worry about that one. Your presence, even when you're not in the room, is still here. And, if the intent is to be here because you want to, and you can't, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do the FOMO. I just personally, I think.
No, but Mitchell, the FOMO is not coming from I can't participate. The FOMO is coming from I can't receive.
Oh, so cool.
Oh, I would come if I never got invited to the stage. I would almost rather that, actually. Of just come and listen, right? And just be stingy and just keep taking everything that's being served on the buffet.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's so cool. What you're speaking in my vernacular is as a content sponsor, you will make this one of your content sponsors.
I don't know what that means, but I'll agree with you because I trust you.
I'll cover it next time. If you remember me, I'll talk about the 6 sponsors we should go through life with. And thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. One of them is content. Yeah, I love that. Cool. Oh man, now I got chills. So, Adrian, did you want to share something at the end?
I would, if you don't mind. So just to be straight out, I'm 60 years old, but so here's the thing. I grew up knowing that things that were being done were not right, but actually I didn't know how to process it. So I think that this is really good information for those that are younger. So in my 20s, I just knew that things were being done that I didn't like. I would speak up and I was immediately told to shut up. In my 30s, I started getting more expectations, and as the internet came out and as I was starting to have the ability to start looking at some different things, or maybe even in the 30s there wasn't that much internet, I was trying to still understand why I was now so different. And around my 45, I remember seeing World War Z and with Brad Pitt, and there was a conversation about the 10th man, and I thought, well, maybe I'm the 10th man. I'm always changing things and wanting to know things and asking so many questions. And it really has only been the last 5 years that I've been able to understand who I am and to really love the fact I'm credible, because when you are surrounded by so many people that are not, and you're actually insulted and demeaned because you stick up for things that you believe are right. For instance, just a quick story in Las Vegas, walking through Las Vegas, seeing a homeless man, I'm not sure, drunk, passed out with bottles of liquor. Everyone's passing. And I was with a group of 8 people, and I said, I refuse to pass. I'm going to go back. I'm going to get a security guard, and I'm going to have the security guard help you guys can stay or go, but this is what I'm doing. I had the galls and the balls to do that because I was older. So I do think that it does show up differently in different ages because I've lived that. And now at 60, I can stand up. I still have to be careful. There's still family around, but they know how I feel. They know I'm not going to be complicit. So if we could get this message out to really explain what it looks like to, even in the teens, to start teaching what it means to be a friend and how to be, credible as a friend can be a good start. So yes, this conversation means a lot to me. It hits home, and I am on team integrity all the way forever. Thank you. I'm Adrian, and I am out.
Adrian, I've known you also for a while, and I'm loving the Adrian that I'm seeing. I'm just gonna say thank you. I see it, I feel it. Thank you. Yeah. Dr. Laura. Now, by the way, did you want to continue this afterwards? I gotta after I do my wrap up, and then I see we have somebody else in the room that was invited in. So did you want to do a summary, and do you want to continue, or how would you like to?
I'm happy to do so on Clubhouse. I have no idea how to do this on.
Oh no! I'll close down the StreamYard stuff. So it's like having an octopus, like there are arms coming from my sides and other places, trying to, and I hit the wrong button, which is why I got knocked out of the room. But and are you crying, my friend?
I am. What Adrian just shared moved me. To continue to show up. When it's like the critic in the arena. To judge when you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked too. How then do you not utilize or implement the control that you know that you can have? How do you not then reciprocate with the same control that you know that you can implement? How long do you then allow others to instill or implement their power while not reciprocating with the same power and control that you can react or put back on them? Knowing that you have that, and that's a little petty person. Knowing that to reciprocate with that, it would be indicative of just merely an opportunity for control and power, which is the one thing that we're fighting against, is to be controlled, manipulated. Knowing that you can do the same, knowing that I can do the very same thing, and wanting to do it so badly, and fighting against it. Yeah. Happy to continue moving this conversation forward because I think it's necessary and needed. I can't be the only one to continue sharing the story, this room out to the audience. I would need some help in doing so. In order for the message to be disseminated, I would need some help in publicizing it. I'm happy to serve as a person of service, although I refuse to do so on my own. So I would need others to help out as well. That's all I have.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you in deep. Well, I said it in the chat on StreamYard. I'll say it publicly on the streams and also in Clubhouse. Thank you all for being here and for showing up, and I love you. Hey, Dean, are you still in Salt Lake City?
Yeah, I arrived 2 days ago.
And when do you leave?
next Sunday.
So Dean,
So I'll
I'm
be here for a week.
I'm flying into Salt Lake City tomorrow.
No way.
So let's and Thursday is my real open day. So let's
Oh my
I'll
gosh, Salt Lake is not even ready for this. The church, the bells are going to ring at the Mormon church.
Are you hanging out with Brilliant, or is he not in town?
Brilliant is in Hawaii and comes back Monday.
Got it. Okay. Well, let's
Yeah.
let's get to, you said Salt Lake City. I'm like, because all right, never mind. Well, I'll see you. I will actually see you in person. Oh my God, I'm so excited about that. I'm jumping into a mastermind, and
look, and I even brought my hat so I could be like Mitchell.
Oh, what a great hat!
Huh? I mean, you wear it so much better.
Oh, and Brent has a hat. Dr. Brent. Oh, that's awesome. Nice. Laura, did you bring Gina to the tape? Oh, switching. Did you bring Gina? So, I will.
I did. She's
all right.
amazing.
So let me say.
You wear a lot of hats, Mitchell.
You do. Well, you do actually, Dean. Whether or not you physically put them on or not, you do wear a lot of hats. Let me say one more thing, and then Gina will bring you to the stage. There was a question in LinkedIn as somebody mentioned 3 elements or 3 values of credibility, and said, what else is there? And so I actually popped, if you go over to what we're doing on LinkedIn, or certainly feel free, and I could post it other places, but there are 10 values of credibility, and I just put the list into one of the answers. And maybe what happens is I should make that when we do post, I'll also then post the 10 values of credibility, so we have something to think about. So yeah, it's interesting as we're growing and learning what to do, and because it's when you guys speak, I feel the energy, not just hear it, and I'm also thinking about it from the components of credibility, and this room influences me in the thought process in terms of seeing where you're coming up and learning your stories, and it's so valuable from the evolution of who we are and where we need to go, and we need this. The world needs this today. So I'm honored. I'm honored, and I appreciate it, and thank you for playing. Thank you for playing. It's amazing. Let me, Gina, since you're new, let me stop the broadcast. I'll hang out for a little bit longer on Clubhouse, but I'll stop the physical broadcast to LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and but I gotta boogie. I have somebody I'm actually interviewing in 11 minutes, so I need to prep for that. And as you could tell, I'm not a normal interviewer. So if you can't tell, I'll never ask any traditional interviewee question. Hey, thank you for joining us. For those who have watched the streams, particularly good following of people who watched on LinkedIn. Thank you for playing and listening and being part of this, and for asking your questions. And those that we could, we'll try to answer them. And if not, we'll try to answer during the week or bring them to next week. I'm going to end the broadcast. Thank you again. And we'll see you guys next week.